let me tell you the title for today. Our spotlight title is called Afghan Allies in Crisis, a plea from two partners, a U.S. Green Beret Lieutenant Colonel and an Afghan general. So I have had the pleasure of knowing and working with Matt Cheney the last few months, as we have both been working on the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan, and Matt in a much more powerful, robust, and important way than I, but it's been really special to connect with him there. And it was his General Alzai, that he introduced and suggested that we have a really interesting opportunity, a rare opportunity to have an interactive experience with two people who are intimately aware of and involved in what is going on. We hear about this on the news, but we don't get to actually interact. So today's our opportunity to do that. So with that, I will turn it over to Matt. Matt, here you go.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Matt Cheney. I am a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army. Been in the business for over 20 years now, commissioned just before 2001 out of West Point. Not long after that, I joined Special Forces and have been doing that for about 16 plus years now. And I am currently still on active duty. So up front, I got to say, I am doing this in unofficial capacity. So my opinions and comments here tonight do not represent the U.S. Army. I got to get that out up front. So why am I here? I had the honor of commanding the last Special Forces, last Special Operations Task Force in Afghanistan, and starting in January of 2021 until the U.S. withdrawal. And in that time period, obviously a very challenging time period for U.S. policy and our partnership with Afghan Special Operations in particular. And what's unique about Special Forces that some of you may be aware of is our primary bread and butter is partnering with foreign forces. So since the very first day of U.S. involvement in Afghanistan in 2001, U.S. Green Berets have been there partnering with Afghans and building up what became the Afghan Special Operations Command. So when I came into the picture in January, General Alzai had just been promoted to take command of Afghan Special Operations Command and was tasked to combine that with the Ministry of Interior Special Operations Forces too, so creating a 40,000 person Special Operations force. In that time period, obviously facing a lot of challenges of managing the U.S. withdrawal and continuing to fight the Taliban simultaneously. And we were both obviously faced with some very challenging experiences and seeing where things may go, and then ultimately how it unfolded. In those time periods, and really going back to 20 years, back to the uniqueness of the Special Forces mission, is that we partner with, fight with, live with, eat with, get to very much know our partners and bond with them. And so for me personally, to witness what has happened in Afghanistan and have those personal relationships with Afghans, knowing their families, seeing the pictures of their children, it's not hard to see why somebody like myself would want to be so deeply involved here. When I joined Special Forces, and the motto today, right, de oppresso libere, means to free the oppressed. I can't think of another situation in my past career in which there was a greater need to free the oppressed. And so as I left Afghanistan, even though my official mission ended there, it couldn't end for me and like many other veterans, right? We needed to do something to assist our partners and friends and brothers and sisters that we served so closely with over the last 2 decades. So that's why I'm here. That's why I couldn't quit and go back to the next mission. Although of course I'm still doing that on active duty. About every free minute is is working on this on the side. So I want to hand it over and introduce General Alzai, just to hear his perspective on what's going on right now. But just to introduce him, he was identified. He's been working with us and with NATO forces since he was a teenager. Identified very early on as an incredibly talented, charismatic leader that we knew had a vision for Afghanistan, and has been serving Afghanistan his entire life. In fact, comes from a family that's been serving Afghanistan their whole life. He attended the UK Staff College. At the age of 30, he commanded an Army Corps. For those of you not familiar with what a corps is, over 10,000 people responsible for the entire north of Afghanistan. He helped the U.S. stand up the Joint Special Operations Coordination Cell, a key component of how we were managing operations over there. And then, like I said in the beginning, he then was promoted into to take charge of the Afghan Special Operations Command. And then towards the end, just as we're leaving, he was promoted again to command the entire Afghan military. So a very short synopsis to an incredible career, but just a great man, great friend. Certainly honored to have been able to serve with him, and very grateful that he is now in the United States. But he personally, his family, and all of those many of those that have worked with him and I both face some very dire situation, and it motivate us both certainly to do whatever we can to assist. So with that, Habitul, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, mate. Good evening, everybody. And it's an honor for me to be part of this conversation. And thanks, Nalini, for providing me this opportunity to be part of this conversation. Honestly, I was looking for this for quite a bit. I thought I should, as Matt said, that he still thinks that he should be connected with Afghans. So I still think I have some responsibility on my shoulders for all Afghans, especially for those soldiers and those families of those who helped both me and our American colleagues down in Afghanistan during the last 20 years of US mission in Afghanistan. So I can claim that I was one of the last generals on 15th of August who left Afghanistan, or who left Kabul. I was fighting till 8 o'clock in the evening, and at the gates of Kabul after everything was collapsed. So I came to the HKIA, and then from HKIA I had to conduct another operation in Kandahar and evacuated 123 of our special forces that I used to be their commander in the past from Kandahar, which was a difficult mission. And based on the responsibility I had, or I felt that we did that, we made it. But yes, this is also true that our C-130 was shot as well with Taliban AK. So we took that risk and evacuated those guys. Why? Because they were fighting for my command, and when I was commanding them, they were fighting for me and for the country. That responsibility I felt, and I did that. And then I was in HKIA for next 10 days, 1 week to 10 days. Like, I left HKIA on 25th of August, and I was the last guy in one of the bases inside HKIA that the base was going to be closed. And then some of the advisors came to me and they said, you are the last, no one left, you need to go. And then I had to fly to Kuwait. And when we arrived to Kuwait, it took us 24 hours to get a room or a bed or an accommodation inside U.S. Army base there. And then we had to do some processes with biometrics for next 10 days inside the base. And then on 3rd of September, we left Kuwait, and we arrived to Jules Airport on 4th of September. And on 4th of September, I had to fly to Texas, but I didn't want that. I had a friend here who used to work with me during 2018 and 2019. And that friend of mine, who used to be also a special forces officer, and still he is active duty officer. He helped me out to stay in around DC, and then he helped me to find access to the Quantico base. And I was in Quantico for uh, almost 2 months. Almost 2 months I was there, and the accommodation in Quantico, I was living in a barrack which was full of around 56 packs, including women, children, and men, uh, uh, which is totally against our Afghani culture. I can claim. And then still we were good, but when I entered a tent which was 1,000 people, full of 1,000 people, at the west side of Quantico Base or Camp Upshore, believe me, it was. I was thinking that no, my barrack is better, and then I was feeling a little bit proud that okay, there's a difference for me. So people were processing there. It took a long time for us, and biometrics, medical checkups, IOM, IRC, accommodation. Fortunately, I was out of base 3 weeks ago, and still I'm living in an Airbnb. And still I'm looking for a house to rent for next 3 months, or an apartment to rent for next 3 months to 6 months. Unfortunately, we don't find any good deals that they will go with for us with 6 months or 3 months lease. Everybody is talking about 12 months, and here we don't have a job. And then they are saying that, okay, if you don't have a job, you have to pay in advance. If you rent an apartment for 2,000 this month, for 1 month, it will be $24,000 for the entire year. So I'm a general, and I can't afford that. The people who are inside the base, we have three categories of people in crisis. The people who are in bases, they are in crisis. In bases, they are in USA. The people who are in third countries, they are left split with their families. I know some generals and some officers and some close allies, even civilians, that one of my friends, Matt, know him, General Yazdani. His wife and kid, they are in New Mexico base, and he is in Turkey. He came to Turkey through Iran, and from Afghanistan to Iran, and from Iran to Turkey. And we have dozens of those people there, and we have hundreds of them in countries around, in neighborhood of Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Pakistan, in India. My family is in India, and last 3 months I haven't met them. And there are a lot of our students who used to be attending the schools in India and some other countries. They don't know what to do, because our political presence in all the world is right now paused, and they don't know how to knock which door to find out what they should do. And don't ask me about the people in Afghanistan. However, as far as I still feel, I am chief of general staff, because Taliban are still not recognized by the world. So it means we still have some sort of influence inside Afghanistan. And believe me, I receive 100 messages every day from different categories of people. I receive messages from my soldiers, from my officers, from my NCOs. I receive messages and texts on WhatsApp, Signal, Messenger. I have Facebook. I still use my Facebook because I want to be connected with those people, from prevention councils, from civilian world. I am receiving messages from NSA, really elite people that are left behind. I'm receiving messages that they are saying, hey, we went in last 20 years, we did our bachelor's, our master's, some of them are PhD. Now there's no space for them in Afghanistan. And there's no job for them. They can't run their families, their lives. And the civilians, as Matt explained my background, I started it from law enforcement or Afghan National Police officer, and then India's intelligence officer, and then in MOD I was working in 3-star position in last 3 years in different positions. And the last position for me was a 4-star position. So I am connected with most of the people on the ground, and they are talking to me, and they are in a horrible situation, and they feel the soldiers, our especially our commandos, every day they have to change their locations. They have to change houses, they have to go to neighbors houses, they have to live in their relatives houses inside Afghanistan, and they can't get a job inside Afghanistan because someone will know them. So far we have lost hundreds of our troops. But there is another threat to them. If we don't support them on time, they might be part of a problem again back to the Western world, or especially America. Daesh is looking for them to recruit them. Some terrorist networks are looking to recruit them because they know how to shoot, and they are very well in that. Still, we have kept them away from that. That's only we could do in last 3 months, and I hope we will. I will continue this. The guys who are working with me, we will continue this, but it's not a long-term or mid-term solution. So we need to work on how can we help who are in Afghanistan, and a different help who are in third countries, and a more different help to those people who are in bases and in America. So I will pause my or stop for now. I think we are running over time, and I will be more happy to discuss it in the small groups, and come up with some good from by based on my perspective, that what we can do in an Afghan easy way to help them, at least those are behind in left behind in Afghanistan. Thank you again from everyone, and yes, I'm ready to cooperate and help.
Thanks, Alzai. If I could just jump in, Melanie, and just kind of summarize about 5 different key problems that John Alzai just identified. One is the process of resettlement is incredibly difficult. There's multiple phases, and it's challenging at every phase for the Afghans going through that. I know many of you are familiar with the immigration process. This one's unique in its mass. We have split families. There's a lot of situations where, as in General Alzai's case, he was caught on the Kabul International Airport, U.S. base there, separated from his family. He was able to get them out to India eventually, but he had to move separately as the U.S. military really just drug him out from fighting and took him with them. So we have split families all over the place as we're managing that evacuation. Food and shelter is a problem in several areas, but particularly in Afghanistan. So we have internally displaced people that thought they were going to get evacuated, or just fleeing where they're known and where they're under the greatest threat, and the Taliban have taken over their home. They have nothing to go back to. So they left with the clothes on their back and whatever change they had in their pocket. And now they're living in a different region of the country. Winter is now upon us. So food, shelter, clothing is a huge need for thousands right now. Before even the collapse of the government, there was a known humanitarian crisis unfolding, in that Afghanistan didn't get sufficient rain this past winter, rain and snow, and so there's going to be a food shortage. When we closed down, really closed the economy down with the collapse of the government, slowing down trade, massive food crisis affecting all of Afghanistan, even those that are not under threat by the Taliban. And then, well, I think I hit that, but the people caught in between, right? They have a food shortage also, and have no way to sustain them because they cannot get a job. So, particularly for the folks that General Alzai and I worked with and led, they are on known lists. Their names have been compromised. There is nowhere for them to go back. In essence, even inside of Afghanistan, they are stateless. If they flee to another country, they remain stateless. Getting paperwork is almost impossible right now unless they can get to an Afghan embassy in another country. And there's even challenges there. There's shortages of passport paper, literally to print the passports if they could get them. So we have big challenges on U.S. policy in that right now the U.S. is not willing to assist Afghans that don't have full paperwork. So big challenge there in that we know them. I can vouch for people, and many veterans like myself can vouch for them. We have extensive databases of all the screening and counterintelligence vetting, particularly with the Afghan SOF that they've gone through up to this point, and yet still cannot get them to safety. So I want to just quickly summarize all of the problems that were identified by General Alzai as he kind of told his story. That applies to thousands, and the breadth and depth of the challenge that we face is extensive. Melanie, back over to you.
Matt, thank you so much.